people are reacting this way.
I'm not surprised. I'm actually happy because, I was looking at the national games to be a big thing, and then to have one statement made and it's kind of competing with the whole national games. It's a great trend, but I have to be able to explain myself to people to understand.
Okay.
My vision is not to come and sort of push or encourage people who are traveling out of this country to go and buy things and bring it back to sell.
Welcome to YouTube channel. Positivity only.
My vision is to bring industrialization into this country, and then after, let it become a template that African countries can also replicate, just to stabilize our economy. Now, if you're talking about industrialization, you're going to see that one of the main things that is needed is logistics. And logistically, our country has only roads to deal with.
Yeah.
When you go to anywhere in the world, Asia, Europe, everywhere, they have railways and they have the water bodies.
Yeah.
It's called water transportation. You have the ferries, you have the canals, and then besides the canals and the ferries are new cities that are coming up in areas where people are living. So for me, I looked at Ashanti region when I was there, since I do my research in almost every region, and I realized that maybe 30% of the furnitures in this world has probably come from Ashanti timber.
Yeah.
How did they even get it out of that place? They must have been driving a lot of timber logs, tracks, and going up and down, and then you're talking of gold. We were at some point the second biggest gold producers, and I think the most gold comes from that sector. You're talking of farming. There's so much, and I like reading maps. So, I've been doing it since I was a kid. Since I was 16, I found out that the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean has surrounded Africa. So it makes it like an island as a continent, where I realized that people only cross the water to come to Africa to search for treasures, opportunities. So when I was looking at the map, when I was in Techiman, I discovered that they had river tunnel there. And the river tunnel goes all the way to the border.
Okay, that's the map on the screen.
Yeah, so you see it. Tunnel is somewhere there, and it goes to the end. You see Second D is there. And then when you come to this end here, you see that's tunnel there.
Yeah.
And tunnel comes all the way to the sea. So you just open it and it's connected. You just dredge it and it's connected. It becomes a pathway. It's been sitting there for hundreds of years. No one has connected it. Okay, but tunnel leads you to Techiman. Techiman is the biggest cocoa producer in the country. Where are their cocoa going? And if we're distributing it amongst 10 regions or even within the West African countries, you still need to connect it there. Okay. Now, on the way from Kumasi to Takrady, you will see River Pra and Oti. And you see these two rivers are very close and they connect. There's the Ankroba River, you see? So they are all there, but we just haven't dredged to connect them. So when you look at Second D or Cape Coast, look at the Pra. It's connecting to Cape Coast. All that edge that you're seeing there, that black edge, is the sea.
So that's what you meant by saying that you were going to bring the sea to Kumasi.
Of course.
But it was going to go through where? Techiman or where exactly?
It would take the river bodies. It would take the water bodies. That's what dredging is about. The dredging has to meet another water. It's like you are taking debris and you're opening the space so the water can flow. And you might cut through a path to extend it. So some of it might have a little breakages, like you see where Pra is.
Yes.
Pra is coming all the way to Sikandi. And you see, if you see Pra, you see that it's crossing through Kumasi.
But you see, it's not that easy to just connect, especially when we're dealing with Galamsey and the fact that most of our river bodies are, at the moment, in the worst state possible. So have you considered, and that's why a lot of people are asking what the feasibility studies are, have you looked at all that, looking at ways to clean up our river bodies even before you connect?
That is the dredging. That is the investment, okay? We need to understand one thing. Investment and development is key. okay? And when I say investment and development, I don't just mean houses or businesses. When the investment we put in our people, the investment we put on our land, it can last us 500 years of returns, one investment. Now, people have done dredging in 500 BC. There were no excavators. Hard work. They moved, and the water crossed, and they joined. Egypt did it those days. And today, Egypt is one of the biggest, should I say, strongest economy in Africa.
Because of the Suez Canal.
Yes, it's connected. You open your country up. Now, God created all of these things and gave the human the brain, the natural things around us for us to decide ourselves how we can expand things, how we can make things work. When the English people were building their underground system, there were no excavators. They used chisels and hammers to do that. Today, we have a whole lot of excavators, and we're just sitting there and littering things into our water and throwing garbage into it, but we're not using it. I am talking about coastal transportation because the future of Ghana and Africa will be based on industrial revolution, and it's about to start. That is us making sure that we manufacture our resources so we don't go out there to buy it again. Because the people who are taking our resources, bauxite, we go back to China to buy aluminium and bring it back after they go and refine it. So I don't want that. I want to be able to introduce industrialization and let our children, let the nation, our country learn how to turn the bauxite material to alumina, and then from there to aluminium. This process, 1, 2, 3, can create 100,000 jobs in one plant or two plants. And I'll tell you why. Because this plant, they are robots. They work 24 hours. Meaning that people will start working 8-hour shifts.
So you agree to the 24-hour
I don't agree
policy?
I don't agree to any 24-hour policy. I agree to a 24-hour shift if you have industrial power.
Okay.
I don't know any 24-hour policy you're talking about, but what I'm saying...
What I'm talking about, I'm referencing what former President John Dramani Mahama said.
What did he say? How do you understand what he said?
Well, he says that we're going to ensure that the economy runs 24 hours. And so
how did you understand that? You are saying
that means that, I mean, just like we have in New York and the other places, we're going to have businesses run 24 hours. So you don't have to wait till morning before you can go and even apply for a passport.
How are you going to that is what you are saying something and you're trying to refer me to him. But I'm saying that if somebody says something, they have to have an explanation how that 24-hour is going to... I'm giving you how 24-hour shift work is going to happen. It happens through industrialization because it's a machine that is working 24 hours. If he said that, it's different. He did not say that. So I'm not referring to what he's saying. And I think that you have understood what he's saying without knowing how it's going to be done.
No, you can't judge just because you're
because I thought that's what you were saying.
No, I was just asking
so you're taking your words back.
No, I'm not taking it back. I'm just asking.
Oh no, I wouldn't be here saying what I don't know. I'm only talking about what I understand, and what I know is best in terms of industrialization. Because if people work from 8 to 6 and there's another person coming to take over the shift from 8 to 12 and 12 to 8 and it's going on and on. For me, my interest is the 3 ways of creating jobs. And so if the workers are 10,000 by 8 to 6, you have another 10,000 coming in after and after. So instead of creating 10,000 jobs, now it's 30,000 jobs. And I think this happens everywhere in the world that is well developed. They have their industrial areas and, they create a lot of things and they sell to the world.
Let's go back to the issue about, dredging the sea into the other river bodies. Now, I'm monitoring some comments, and there's one who's saying that, but some of these water bodies, drinking water for some communities, etc. Now, if you're trying to connect the sea to some of these bodies, of course, we know that the issue of salination also comes up. And that affects the livelihood of the animals that also drink from these water bodies. So can you explain that then?
Because, first of all, what canals do a lot of things. There's irrigation system that comes out of it, so it helps farming. There is purification system that can come out of it, so it helps the nation. Because once you industrialize the connection, then you can do a lot of things with it. It's like industrializing cocoa and then making sure that the manufacturing processes become 3 or 4. we're going to find what to do with the waste of it, and do different things with it. So it's the same thing that is going to happen with our water bodies when it's connected, because at the moment we are throwing things into it. It's deserted, it's left. It's not being used, it's not being run. People are not sailing through it. People are not driving through it. It's like a road. If there are potholes and the road is busy, you have to fix it. You have to cover the potholes because the road is busy. It's the same thing with water. Once they start to use it, they service it.
Okay.
And I think we are running from industrialization as a country. We are running from it. This is the only thing that will save our economy. Once we connect this, look at the difference that it will make. If PRA and OT is connected, and then some sea from Second D is pushing the water towards Kumasi, and now Kumasi can have a vessel with 100 containers if they have to deliver something.
Can we see the map again?
Yeah.
Just so we have a better understanding for those of you who have just tuned in. So if you look at Kumasi, the water bodies, it goes all the way to Afram. But that means you're going to have to bring it somehow into Kumasi itself, which is what you had mentioned earlier,
It's
right?
just connecting the waters. Look, my point is very simple, Bella. We have all these water bodies in this country. Not one of them have we connected. There is no water transportation in this country. I can give you a perfect example in Ada. The water is meeting the sea right in your face. Now, this water goes maybe 100 kilometers further. If there was any port right there in between the water and the sea, you have a huge power of transportation. That is, if on that water lane there is gold, there is oil, you can now start transporting it. But what it has become, it's become a residential use. So there's no commercial or there's no industrial use for it. There could be fishes, that could be our fishing area. So we don't import fishes anymore because now we industrialize the water. And there are a lot of things going on. But today, you will see a few houses along the way and people just maybe cruising one or two boats on there. But I'm just saying that it meets the water. So there are lots of rivers in Ghana that is meeting.
But it's going to pass through land. And that means having to break down some buildings? Because if you look at Kumasi,
there could be settlement. There is nothing wrong with regentrification.
Okay.
Gentrification is a must when you are developing a country. You need to regentrify some things. You're looking at a place like Nima in Accra. There is billions of dollars of development if we have to do a resettlement for them. That is by building a new community for the people in Nima and slowly developing that space in phases. They do it in England, they do it in America. You go to somewhere like Hackney and then you come back 8 years, they've done the Olympics in that area, they've developed the place. One apartment is now 300,000 when the apartment used to be 50,000, So definitely there will be settlement, and it is very possible because it could be settlement for just like maybe 10 people, but the development would benefit millions of people.
Have we put a cost to this?
I wouldn't really want to talk about numbers because when you're not ready, it's like you have a vision, you need action. If you don't have the action, then the vision is a mere
So you're
dream.
not ready at the moment?
I don't even...
What I mean at the moment is, before you announce something like this, you'd expect that maybe there's a plan. Feasibility studies have been conducted, so there's some document
I know what to do it.
Okay.
But I'm saying that it would take me to be empowered to do so. I cannot go to a country and start connecting the water.
But even before you make some promises, for example, let's say free SHS, for example, before the president may have announced it, maybe he had a feasibility studies conducted, which is why we're asking, because at this point you should be able to tell us that looking at how to connect these river bodies to the sea, etc., it might cost us ABC.
It's not a promise, my dear. It's a purpose. It's a vision. I am saying that it is possible. I can do it by bringing the right professionals that understand dredging, mapping, defensing, because you need to create sea defenses, a lot of things. And then let the water flow. Then after that, you need to now create the coastal or the water transportation. That's another whole thing. So it's a process of things. It's not a project that would be a one-year project.
Of course.
Once I'm able to do one and two, the other leaders would see that it has changed the economy and it's brought speed into our logistical path, and everybody will be interested to do so. For example, I mean, when you look on the map, you will see Volta Lake. It's a man-made lake, and it's one of the biggest. I mean, in fact, it's so big in the country. What are they using it for? People are just doing, little fishing stuff in there. We haven't connected the lake to anything. Look at it. It's connected to a farm. It can go all the way. See how close it is to Kumasi. So there are things that can happen in Kumasi, and we can transport it on the water to Volta, to Kyei-duah, to a lot of places.
So we're still waiting for the feasibility studies, because again, when it comes to Ghanaians,
I don't need to show Ghanaians feasibility studies when they cannot do anything about it. Okay, first of all, Ghanaians have money, but they might not know how to use it. They only borrow money to pay debts and to do roads, to create contracts. Okay, money needs to be invested, and there has to be returns. And so I believe that the government is supposed to have some kind of partnership with the private sector and not turn the private sector to contractors, because the private sectors in this country are contractors.
But they're the ones who need a study, which is why I'm asking for it. So the
need
feasibility study that I'm talking about is not for every Ghanaian necessarily.
Who would need a study?
Of course, the stakeholders who are supposed to conduct this exercise. So let's say the contractors in the country, of course, you would want their buy-in on this. You cannot on your own as a president decide that you're going to
that is not what I'm saying. Look, if we as a nation believe that we have to fix our road, we don't need going to ask people permission that study the feasibility of this before I do the road. Okay, the cost of a road, when you bring foreigners to do it, is $1 million a kilometer.
Yeah.
That is the price. It's the same thing when you're building a house. It's $200 or $500 per square meter. When you're dredging, it's going to come with the price. It could be 5,000, it could be 10,000 per a million meter, whatever it is. And then you have to see that, okay, I'm going to go at 148 kilometers or 200 kilometers and this and see the fence. So all of these things will come from like the design of it, the engineering of it. That's how you get the costing. But the idea now is there, and I want Ghanaians to understand that it is feasible. It's possible. It can happen, and it's happening in a lot of countries, and they're benefiting from it. Apart from everything I've said, with irrigation, with industrialization, with purification, all the shins, you also have tourism. Where people will be sailing on your water, and they're going to see parts of Ghana that you and I have never seen. Good, beautiful landscaping and all of that we have deserted for a long time. So there are a lot of great opportunities with such an idea. And it just, the media also sometimes, they like a headline that would be so controversial and, it's like, get people to bash you a little bit. It's nice.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think so far what has gone around is what you have said, which is why we're also now borrowing into it. But in terms of priority, would you say this is priority? I've listened to Ghanaians say that we lack adequate hospitals. Our hospitals are not even equipped to global standards. Our education is also in shambles. We have students who are learning under trees. Jobs, which you have said already, that's also another major problem. Our roads are bad. We're even grappling with developing a railway system. So these are things that are low-hanging fruits that we should tackle before even coming up with ideas such as this. So for you, what is your priority? Well,
first of all, my priority is industrialization. You see, I don't see why you're going to build a hospital first without thinking of the factories that will give the people the jobs, that will give them the average salary that will make them be able to afford for the hospital bill. Okay, that's the mistake we're doing. We go and build like low-income housing, 1,500 homes in a place, and then we don't put a factory there. We don't put places that the people who are living in the low income housing can just walk to work. But they go and live there, and they have to take a car 22 kilometers away from where they live, and they spend an hour and a half to 2 hours on a small single road. So in a day they travel 44 kilometers and they lose 4 hours of their time. Okay, now this guy, within 8 years, he would have spent the money that he bought the low income house with on transportation and on time. More than that, he would have lost already. So we need the first important integrations first, and it would automatically attract these things. You see, when people are going to, if I'm going to build a university in, let's say, Takoradi, I have to know that, first of all, they're like 500,000 workers, and I have to study their returns, their average salary. And then I have to be able to tell that, okay, there is like $1 billion circulating in this 4-kilometer square or this 5-kilometer square, and the demand for hospital or university is there. So then my returns of my investment is guaranteed. But if I have to go and put a hospital there, and people are begging and they bring them and they're dying and they don't have money, the business cannot work, which is what is happening in Ghana now. People are going to Kolebu, they don't have the money because they take 1,000 or 2,000 cedis a month, and then out of that, their taxes, SNAIT, so many things out of it, and then they have to pay their wife, they have to take care of 4 children, they have to pay their fees. These guys, look, we're in trouble as a country. And I think it's because we're running away from the fact that we are not industrialized. We need to let whatever returns that is coming from the resources that we have circulate in our system and not go out of the system.
Kakra mesere ne se Nyankopon yi wadom ne se woni hyi papa so a bomodin se oboso no beye se ne beye a ono so ne ni so ade hunu ene ne mo biara no etumi ebi aide asonso ne wiase ebibi man beda ho ni papa no ma yenya including yenua no mabrofi ka ho a omode omopenipa ne danfo ne penipa no ne mguase e pese de bia no ebibi man beko say beko how mu beko atiti mu no na ama omaye bibimai edum pempenso adu na empempene Yakopon chade se eni da ho aba ama yehunu se ampa emfutru bi no mutugu yeni ani nti ye hunu nyuma pa ewo yewura osaje for Dr. Kwame mu ani nti ye hwe han e ma profi be fifa yase ena matimu fui obuyi papa ifiri ade so a papa ni di adwadwa when si ne kuru loko tu bi mai so and so bibi mai munua no ma bibifo ena me ne mokasa ma motima me kasa yase na muti mi no kakra mesre na mamma nipa bia wuti mi wate ho asese Yakopon de mbre na yedwuma na emre wo hoi eni nka so nti Kofi Kinata ne nyuma oboy o se time no day nti se wo ma emre ni panwa eno na obaye wo se ahwe obi na eye eno ti ye boye ma me bemfo ye boye papa ne bemfo ade ya ombre no apaho ne se wo mbre paho ma na wenya embobro wo Nyankopon anim na wa am wentwa U10 na wan science hye nyoma foforo no wan san fa ntoa so a odofo mechanical class machro ewiase wo yi esumu pa na nhwe a unkum na mesre empempene na mu kakra me kan se mesre mo support ye, like the video and share the video to reach many people.